There's a lot of angst in the world today. It can be very difficult to disconnect from the world's angst. Much of the angst that we feel is likely due to the world's angst and the media we're exposed to more than it actually has to do with the angst in our own personal lives. Though this angst is most certainly affecting our personal lives way out of proportion to what it really means to our personal lives. If you can't really do anything about it, is it really worth involving yourself in? I'm fascinated by meeting people and hearing what the world means to them, what particular situations mean to them. And as I listen to them speak, I can sort of hear by the words they use and the frames that they set, the play or the story or the role that they have created for themselves and their place in this world. We all have. We start to become over-identified in the sub-roles. We become over-identified as an employee. We become over-identified as a business owner. We become over-identified as a spouse. We become over-identified as a parent. When we become over-identified with these roles, it can most certainly create a scenario that makes it feel like things are much more important than they really are. With the exception of people who are making pacemakers and who are saving lives. For the rest of us, this is an experience. Most of us aren't making pacemakers. Most of us aren't saving lives. The importance that we give a role or a particular identification that we have in our lives sometimes can be very out of proportion and feel like it's a life or death situation, which of course creates angst and creates stress. Don't let the world's angst be your angst. Yes, we all exist. Yes, we're all having an experience. 6, 7 billion, whatever it is, experiences all going on simultaneously at the same time. This is an amazing part about what's going on in this existence. But at the same time, if you're so focused and dialed into the pain and suffering, the stresses and distractions, the over-identification of your own life and the sub-roles your own life has, then it's hard to really appreciate and have the wonder and the awe of the idea of 7 billion people having simultaneous experiences at the same time. We all have stress, and we all deal with it and manage it in different ways. I don't think any of us need to actively or subconsciously even add stress to our lives. So just as this camera is the lens that's allowing me into your life, your eyes, your input mechanism, your ears, your touch, your smell, your taste, your input mechanisms are what help you give the feedback that you need to be able to have healthy thinking. And so if you're exposing yourself or you're putting yourself in front of a lot of negative information that while it may affect your life, understandably so, there's nothing you can do about it, then what's the point? Sometimes ignorance is bliss. And we've all been sold this idea that knowledge is power. But in most cases, it's just nourishment to the ego, not to the soul. It's only a distraction to the soul. Quiet. Buster, quiet. Or the dog's a distraction. I get it. There's lots of reasons that we have to be stressed. I have friends who are living in areas of the world that war is going on right now. In speaking with them, one of the things that has been universally said or spoken about is how the awareness of time has changed. That when a missile could come into your apartment building at any time, you plan differently. You take time and savor differently as well. You appreciate differently. We're here for an experience. And when we die, we can no longer have that experience. It's death that helps us understand and get meaning from what this experience is. While it might not be a missile that may come into or maybe let's say a very low probability event that a missile comes into my house tonight, there could be other higher probability events that occur that end my life today. So, memento mori, remember, you are mortal. And when you remember that you're mortal, oftentimes when I say bye to people, I hug them. And if there's someone close to me, I hug them even longer. I try to keep in mind that that person may not be here next week, or I may not be here next week. And by keeping this in mind, it keeps the ideas of what's really valuable to me in the forefront of my mind and what I truly have to appreciate and be grateful for. So most of us have the luxury of being over-identified because the probability of death is low. But remember, it's a probability. I mean, death is a guarantee. It's just a probability of when you die. Each day, that probability becomes greater and greater and greater. We're all living in probabilities. Everything is a probability.